You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
You know how there's like new movies and for a bit everyone talks about it and you're sort of curious, but you know 100% you will never watch it?
I feel like 1,000 movies like that for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So that new one got added to Netflix, Mank.
Yes.
What's Mank?
Mank is the screenwriter for Citizen Kane.
And it's like about him and like his, like he's a whole thing and like he's like kind of Hollywood royalty, right? Like
wait for it. No, he's a self-destructive alcoholic screenwriter in Hollywood.
Wild. No, tell me more.
Yeah, I know, right? Like what? Where did they get this character idea from?
The never-ending fascination with the myth of the tortured genius and white men.
I cannot tell you how little I care. I don't know what would inspire me to watch this movie at all, and nothing so far. And then there was a discussion about how the actress they got to play his wife, who was supposed to be 33, is like, I don't know what, she is 33, and Gary Oldman is 62, is playing 33.
Gary Oldman is 62 and playing 33?
Yeah. Or 42, I think he's playing or something. Yeah, 42.
And
okay.
I mean, are they using that de-aging technology that they used on like De Niro and those guys in The Irishman or whatever?
Not so far as I could see in the pictures. I think they were just trying to go on that he was a really rough 40.
That's a rough 40. All right.
Hard living.
Wow.
Hard living.
I guess that hard living. Did you know that Mankiewicz, that guy, I believe it's the same Mankiewicz. He's the same Mankiewicz who is one of the Dateline journalists who like Dateline sort of does that like true crime stuff and they rotate through journalists every week. Basically, it's a new one. Josh Mankiewicz is part of the Mankiewicz like
dynasty
Hollywood dynasty. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, it's not that there at one time you could get me to watch Leaving Las Vegas or whatever with Nicolas Cage, and I did, and I watched it, and now I wonder like why, and now I haven't actually sat down and made a list of how many of these movies I've seen in my life, and
a lot.
But I do know that I am not going to add to the list anymore.
Yeah, like Mank, I was maybe like a tiny bit interested in just because I do like Citizen Kane, and I do listen to like You Must Remember This, and like so I do have sort of like I like unpacking old Hollywood to see how awful it's always been, but that's like one of my interests as a person. Like I love to take everything that was supposed to be great and show how terrible it was. It's just one of my fun habits.
That is a hobby of yours, and I think many people who enjoy this podcast have also been treated to that.
Yep. Nothing if not consistent in my likes and values. But yeah, like I mean, like just like this movie exists and the same story gets retold over and over and over and
because
over
I mean,
again.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't because I've seen Citizen Kane.
I've seen Citizen Kane.
Yeah, which is about a tortured man.
Uh-huh.
And I guess, I mean, Orson Welles was only, 26 when he made it, right? So it's hard to call
something
him tortured
like
at that point. I mean, he may have been a tortured 26-year-old. Seems like you should have a few more years under your belt before it's like super tortured, right?
Depends on your circumstances of birth.
Never heard of quarter life crisis.
Yeah,
okay. That's not explored enough. Maybe I would watch that. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
We watched it with Reality Bites. You didn't have much patience for that.
Oh my God. I did not. But that was fun because that was definitely me going, wow, I liked this movie at one time. I thought that Ethan Hawke was kind of cool. And I was like, oh my God.
But you know what? Like, I feel this way about every superhero movie that ever gets released.
Yeah.
But I have found myself during the pandemic, just lowering my standards and being like, okay, I guess I'll watch Aquaman because I just want something mindless and fun to watch. And then like I'll watch Aquaman, and then a minute after it's over, I won't be able to tell you what it was about or anything, any details of the movie. Like, just totally escaped me.
I got sucked into watching Aquaman. Someone told me just watch it for the visuals. I don't remember who it was who told me that, but anyway, and so I was like, and they were like, definitely have an edible and then watch it. And I was like, okay, sounds like a great time. Because, pandemic watching for me has been a very different experience.
You tried to get me to watch the car thing, so that didn't work
I
out.
stand by Fast and the Furious as a fantastic franchise.
Yeah, that's art.
That is high art.
During the pandemic.
But I will say, I did not feel that way about Aquaman. I mean, that was a rough movie to...
I'm going to say, out of the three of us, you could not pull me into Aquaman. I have no... at all, like no interest. But that's why I was very excited to recommend The Boys to everybody, because it's the anti-superhero. It's exactly what you were saying. And it's like looking at this ridiculous obsession and imagining if these people really existed, and it would be so bad.
Yeah, that's that Netflix show that you're talking about, right?
No, it's on Amazon.
Amazon, okay, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do swear off a lot of shows before I've even seen them. And sometimes people are just like, oh, how can you judge it before you've seen it, blah, blah, blah. And it's not really about that. It's like we're all opting into certain experiences. We all have to like curate our time,
our brain feed,
Yes, exactly.
And like there are
Since none of us can read books right now, we really
there are certain things that I have been, I will opt into that like I maybe wouldn't have in the past, like Fast and the Furious. But I honestly like, or Sound of Music even. Like, I mean, this has been what a wild year for me to have discovered a love for both.
I do not see the Venn diagram there at all. I'm curious. You're the entire Venn diagram, I think.
I'm so excited to see your year-end best of list.
Well, my year-end best list, I don't even know what that'll look like. Of what? I don't know.
Start thinking about it. We're doing that in a few weeks.
No, I know. It's just whenever I think about it, it's dark. It's weird. It's literally like a nightmare you wake up from, and you tell someone, I had this weird, crazy nightmare. There was a pandemic, and I watched this collection of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was...
Including Love Actually for the 6th year in a row. That's how I ended my year. That's what you're going to say.
Lisa, I can see just in her brain was like, I guess I quit the podcast. Like I can see this like this thing in your head, which is like, nope. I
can see it. It goes around in my head all the time, especially around this time of year, because I spend a lot of time on Twitter with people going, I've never seen it. And I'm like, save yourself. Yeah. And I came up with the best review I can, which is, it has not aged as well as Hugh Grant.
Look, this is a real glimpse ahead at the next week, okay? We're giving so many previews for end of year. But what we, one of the things that we do love every holiday season is if there is a new Christmas movie, we kind of want to give it a chance we can.
We do.
Absolutely.
And so this is our one sort of new holiday experience we're having this year. So I'm really excited to talk about this with you guys. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This,
the Happiest season edition. Which could be called Christmas if we had one, which we don't this year. So,
yeah, but you know what we got for Christmas? Vaccines. So,
well, there we go. Yeah, and that was at the top of my list. So fair. Delivered.
Mean, who knew that was who knew that would come so fast?
We did not. I really didn't.
I honestly
anyway,
did. I really.
Not,
Yeah, I thought we were a ways away.
Yeah. Wow. But we're not a ways away for Happiest season, which, well, gosh, as much as we really needed a vaccine, apparently we also needed, and it really surprises me, this is the first, same-sex romance from a Christmas movie from a major studio, right?
Totally, I believe so. Yeah,
because this was meant to be in the theaters again
Yes.
with our pandemic, and it's instead came out on. Well, I got watched on iTunes, just so our
us too.
Canadian viewers, but I think it was Hulu.
I watched it on Cineplex.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
maybe we did that too. I don't remember, but anyway, I'm just glad that we were able to watch it because I was worried that we weren't going to be able to watch it, and it made me
so
sad.
was I. But we
Yeah.
did get to see it, and now we're going to talk about it. Wow, that sounded like a fine segue, didn't it?
It was very natural, Lisa.
It was very natural. I'll give us a little background here.
Yeah.
Happiest Season is a 2020 American romantic comedy film directed by Clea Duvall from a screenplay written by Duvall and Mary Holland. The film's ensemble cast consists of Kristen Stewart, Mackenzie Davis, Allison Brie, Aubrey Plaza, Dan Levy. I could actually probably just read the whole list from my head, but anyway, Mary Holland, Victor Garber, and Mary Steenburgen, and follows a woman who struggles to come out to her conservative parents during Christmas. Duvall has said the film is a semi-autobiographical take on her own experiences with her own family. So we don't really I just realized that we didn't put a whole
Spoiler.
Well, yeah, we haven't said spoilers or anything, and we also haven't provided a full synopsis. But we basically gave you the idea right now. Harper goes home. Harper goes home for Christmas, brings her girlfriend,
Abby,
and when just en route to Harper's family home, and her dad's about to sort of try and run for mayor. She tells Abby, "Oh, hey, my parents don't know that I'm gay. And they also think that you're my roommate who's an orphan. Which is true, but they really play that a lot for which and I also enjoy, that sort of gallows humor, so I'm fine with it. But yeah, this is such an interesting movie to me. I'll say off the top, I liked it. I wanted to like it even more. I just wanted it to be funnier.
Yeah. I gotta say, if I had to have one complaint, it was a little slight on the rom and the com.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I loved it.
Wow. Okay.
I thought it was hilarious.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. I was just a bit surprised at some of the sort of slapsticky sort of things that didn't make me laugh.
I always,
why are they in that bedroom together?
I always find Dan Levy hilarious.
Dan's great.
Can't do wrong with Dan Levy.
Honestly,
And Allison Brie, I love her in this movie.
I love
so
Allison Brie.
amazing.
Aubrey Plaza? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with everybody. I think the whole cast was great. It just didn't.
They are all hilarious to me.
No, they all are. They are all hilarious. But you know what? I was thinking about what is it that is not flowing together, and this is, I can't even. I'm just gonna say it out loud. I was thinking about The Holiday, and how even though I don't love The Holiday, obviously, which we've talked about numerous times,
numerous
times,
And will continue to do so.
You could almost say annually, but
annually. But The Holiday really is very tight in terms of not everything makes me laugh, but I know when I'm supposed to laugh. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was so interesting about Happiest Season is that there are large gaps where there's no music and it's just dead quiet in the background. And I think we're used to, or at least I'm used to, especially in comedies, a bit of a sort of background score to sort of move the things along. And I feel like Clea Duvall makes a bold choice deciding not to do that, but it doesn't quite make all the jokes land the way that they're supposed to land. And so I found it just a little bit not as funny as I wanted it to be.
I thought there was an element of cruelty that I didn't really enjoy either. We were almost like watching an endurance test that Abby was supposed to go through. People were actively quite rude to her, and including her girlfriend.
Interesting.
I mean,
Well, I mean, I agree.
I've become a bit of a Kristen Stewart fan in the last
I love
few
her.
years. Yeah, I mean, because at first I wasn't, with her when she kind of launched into being a celebrity or being an actress with the Twilight series. I wasn't too sure about it.
Was it
But
your
then
Twilight tour that elevated you to Kristen Stewart?
No, it was like the last few years. I really liked some of the movies.
Personal
she's
Shopper,
done.
I think, is one of
Yeah,
the
I
great
love
movies.
Personal Shopper,
Yeah.
and then she did Certain Women with the Kelly Reichardt movie.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed her in Charlie's Angels.
She was
And
great in
then-
Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
What is it called? The Clouds of Sils Mara or something with Juliette Binoche and
she
Chloe
was good in
Moretz.
that.
Oh my God, so good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I really enjoy her movies, and I thought she was very funny in this and very it was very enjoyable to watch.
But that's the thing. I think she's great in this.
Yeah, so do I.
I think this movie belongs there's so many people that are actually really genuinely good in this. And I don't mind a movie that does want to be difficult and complicated and dark. Like I don't, for me, Christmas is a dark, beautiful season, and I want to hold both in my hands, blah, blah, blah. But I was just like, why am I not laughing more? Like, these are all very funny people. Like, I felt like Mary Holland was in a whole other film, even though she apparently co-wrote this. Like,
She's the funniest part.
Well,
To me,
yeah.
Jane, I'm Jane today.
You identified hard with Jane. Yeah.
I did. I actually very much did. It was I felt for Jane a lot. Didn't I really did.
I just thought she was in a whole other movie. I was like, what is this movie that Mary Holland is in that's like very different than the movie that's going on here? You know what I mean? Like it just like, I don't know. I wanted the slapstick to be slapstickier. I didn't even when the sisters are fighting and like competitive with each other, everything is there that should work for me, but like there's an element that just felt a little flat.
I think I love that.
Okay, I feel like
that made the movie for me.
Different. Like I feel like you watched a different movie or you were drunk or something. I don't know, like something.
No, I totally I wasn't looking on my phone or anything. I was deliberately very much concentrating on the movie, and I agree with what Andrea's saying, but I think I love that movie more because of it.
That's so fascinating.
I hate being pandered to with music and building up to places where I'm supposed to laugh and stuff. I really hate that.
But I guess for me I think and it's been really interesting seeing this discussion about the movie is that I can't for the life of me figure out why Abby wouldn't have just walked out at the end of that's my biggest complaint. And I don't even mind all of the other things. Like, sure, it could have been funnier, sure. But it made zero sense to me at the end of this movie that she would not have just gone, this is the biggest waste of, forget it.
Well, that's what a lot of the discussion was on Twitter after people watched the movie is if she should have ended up with Riley.
Okay, so I disagree fully. I think I understand why Abby stayed. I think that when, particularly if you do not have any family of your own, even being part of a messy family is more appealing than being entirely on your own.
That's even more depressing. How can you say that? That was part of her motivation?
I'm not done my justifications.
Okay,
anyway,
right.
but also she had bought a ring. She was prepared to propose to this woman. She's not gonna give up after one sort of bad few days. I think what
exactly do you think her deal breakers are then? If you had to what in the world would make her go, this isn't going to work out?
Oh, I think if she had actually seen Harper hooking up with Connor, I think she might have been I'm good.
I think that was hours away. I think that was literally hours away.
But I don't think Harper and Connor had any. Well, I guess this is one of my other problems is I love Kristen Stewart so much, and I was just she's got chemistry with Aubrey Plaza. She's got chemistry with Dan Levy. I would be happy to see just an entirely it would be great to have a gay rom-com Christmas movie, and it doesn't have them all be in search of love with different people. I didn't need Harper that much, But I do think there's like a lot of validity to what Clea Duvall is saying, is like showing different coming out stories and how they like they're very like they're complicated, complex stories that like still deserve to be told in film. Like, I mean, my God, we've got like 8,000 movies about complicated white men with like addiction issues. Like we need 5,400 more years of like queer coming out stories.
No,
So
I have read that. I did read that, and I did think that was a fair criticism. If this is the story that Clea Duvall wanted to tell, and you like said, semi-autobiographical, so she understands it, and it should not be the template for all movies about a lesbian couple. Like that'd be awful. I mean, that's terrible. I agree with that completely. But I'm just saying, all things aside, if I'm looking at this. Like, I guess that is hard. I've never had to come out to my parents.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like. But I guess I felt that we've seen movies where there's a lot of tension in a family and how it can drive a wedge between a couple. Mm-hmm. Like, I've seen a lot of those stories. And I felt like this movie was like, I felt like what the things she did were unforgivable.
I feel like the movie really captured, though, the feeling of being a stranger going into someone else's family around like a holiday season or a celebration, and being like feeling alienated and feeling like you don't understand, you know, this family or this clan. Like, I think the movie just really captured that feeling really, really well.
I think it does too. And I guess that's why I like have a bit more patience for like why Abby wouldn't just like call it quits, because like it's already such an awkward situation to like join in with a family on the holidays. Like I remember, it's not the same, but like the first time like Carlos and I going to Spain to be with his family at Christmas the first time, I didn't speak the language. Almost no one did. Like, but
did he call you your roommate?
No, we were already living together. Like,
okay.
We went into the situation where they knew, although there was a lot of like, oh, you live together, but you're not married.
Oh,
like there was a lot of that, in general. Like, I think that's why they were so excited when we announced we were getting married the following year. So I've been in sort of like, that situation before. And I just feel like, I would have a lot of, or I did have a lot of understanding, I think, for Carlos and like how he could be a little bit different around his family, in this situation where, but again, like this is like a movie where they're going to like ramp up the sort of conflict. And I think what makes Harper so difficult to sort of grasp as a character is her reticence to have any meaningful conversation. Like she just sort of seems to shut down. And like,
but it's not just that. It's not those things. It's the way she is with those friends she knew and didn't include Abby in that. And then she sees the ex-boyfriend, and it just felt like give her that tiny chair at the restaurant. Like if you were like really cared about her, why wouldn't you be, let's get her a proper chair. It just felt really cruel.
I mean, I think she did try to switch chairs with her, but I get what you mean. I know, like, I think like she could have done, she obviously could have done more to sort of like demonstrate how much she cares. Like, but I mean, you could see that was sort of happening the moment she wakes up the next morning and her first look is like, oh God, what did I do? And like, that was like when she invites Abby to come with her, and the next morning she immediately wants like all take backs. I guess that's the other thing is like, I felt like their magical Christmas night was, I don't know. I wanted more magic. Like I'd like more magic than just a little low key break and enter and then falling off a roof and like having to like, run and then make out in an alley. I do really like it. I think I'm going to it's going to be part of my Christmas rotation because
Me too.
I like it enough that I'm going to like sort of, and especially cause like, okay, so yeah, we haven't really talked enough about Riley. And I mean, I've loved Aubrey Plaza for so long. And so it's really nice to see her, even if it's just like a small role, to like have her energy, like sort of spiked into scenes because her face is so expressive.
But so, yeah, the character of Riley is interesting because although Harper hasn't come out to her parents, she did have a girlfriend, or she did like a girl, and completely did like the worst nightmare of a high school situation that will emotionally scar you for your whole life. And I had a hard time imagining that that's just something you're supposed to go, oh, well on.
I mean, I don't think it's supposed to go, oh, well, because obviously her and Riley are still like at a very like weird place. And then Harper does that sort of like apology. But like it does feel like, it feels like information where like if you're like, that's actually for me the biggest thing, where Abby's like that could have been a deal breaker. But Riley does like sort of preface it with being, or like not preface it, but like says afterwards, like, you know, people can change, but I don't know if
But the worst part is that the worst part is that Harper didn't even tell her that story.
No, I know. I can't imagine. Can you, like, Harper's not going to say anything bad about herself. Like, she's not going to tell Abby that story.
No, but
like,
it just, even when you see her, to go and pull her aside and say, by the way, this was not one of my finest hours. I was really scared. I mean, it just felt like, and again, you're right. I can't relate to this. This is not my experience. But I guess just seeing somebody, just the cruelty. It just, and then later on when Abby is falsely accused of shoplifting, she's like, well, that you can't come to the dinner party tonight because you're a thief. That was very odd.
I mean, I feel
that's how she said it. That's how she said it to her.
She didn't say you're
a thief. Yes, she did. Well, not a thief, but she said, you caused too much of a scandal. You can't come.
Well, because she's thinking politically. Like, so there are all these, like, excuses for Harper that I think come down to the fact that, like, she obviously, like, does not like herself very much. And that's a hard character trait to sort of communicate on screen and still have her be a character that people connect with. And so I think there is a lot of risk in creating that character. I think that's actually, like, that's, you know, to make, like, a strong character that, like, is a little bit impenetrable, but that still has, like, a point of view. Like, maybe the actor playing Harper isn't quite up to that particular task.
Ooh. But people quite like Mackenzie Davis. I'm well, okay.
Yeah, I don't know that I did. I don't know that I did.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then
have either of you seen Terminator?
Yes.
Because she is supposed, I guess she's in that. I haven't seen it.
A lot of people have talked about that show called Stop and Catch Fire or whatever it is.
Halt and Catch Fire.
Halt and Catch Fire. And they say it's amazing. I have not seen it. But I would also say that she was quite horrible to her boyfriend, who she didn't bother even to tell him. I mean, it's just like she's got a kind of like a trail of carnage behind her.
Yeah, but it's all wrapped up in her own, like, self-hatred, right? Like, it's her own internalized homophobia that is, like, coming from her parents, right? And it's like, it's not going to be...
But we didn't even get that sense from her parents. I mean, that was the other weird thing about this.
No,
we get a sense that she's trying to live up to something.
No, Victor Garber has that speech in the restaurant where he's like, well, thank God you're not like her. Like, he's talking about Riley being gay.
Yeah.
Like, they don't go overboard with, like, the overt homophobia. Yeah. And that's the thing that I think, like, could feel like a disconnect. But I do think that again, it's all the internalized homophobia that Harper has that, like, is sort of why these situations have happened. I mean, in a lot of ways, I don't think you necessarily, like, owe your coming out story to your ex, like, boyfriends, like, if that's not a place you're at yet.
No. I guess I just thought it was like he looked very, like, crushed, and so did Riley, and it just seemed like...
Oh, like, Riley, I think she hurt big time. Like, that was really terrible. Connor, I feel like Connor gives her an opportunity to tell him, because he's just like, it always seemed like something was missing, you know? And I feel like that... And I feel like that's, like, a really well done scene in terms of the scripting, because it shows that, like, Harper has had all these opportunities to sort of, like, have conversations that would be really important for her, but that she's just not ready, you know?
I also think that Christmas movies are usually about terrible people. And
you're right.
That's and them being in, like, you know, hilarious situations. Like Christmas with the Cranks, another classic.
I've never heard that said. ever. But
I've never
okay.
seen it. I've never
what?
seen it.
It's
No.
always on TV.
Yeah.
So that's why I've seen it pretty much
Is
every
that the one with
Christmas.
Tim Allen and Jamie Lee
Yeah.
Curtis? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, no, I like seriously.
fair.
I think Christmas movies are just always featuring bad people because it's just what makes it's
Well, and I
the
suppose
humor
you're
in
right.
Christmas, right?
The,
Like
the
it's,
kind of blueprint to that is A Christmas Carol, right? That we have to see Ebenezer Scrooge go through his series of ghosts to show him that he's being a jerk, and then he gets the chance of redemption. So that's fair. I guess if I think of it that way, I guess that's why I'm the one always advocating for the holiday, because there aren't that many terrible people in that. So.
I mean, I think some people are terrible, but yeah, it's different. It's no, I think one of the things that Clea DuVall does so well in this movie is, especially as a co-writer, like, because I think that's really complicated. Like, I think she gives enough, like no one feels like a stereotype or a cliche. Like there are enough.
That's fair. Yeah.
There's a lot of nuance to all the characters, which is like kind of great. And like it's not like, and like from Dan Levy in his, as like the book agent who is her best friend, and who could sort of, this is a very my best friend's wedding kind of role. He's like the wise,
Rupert
cool.
Everett,
yeah. Like,
and he has a nice speech there about explaining that it's,
he does such a beautiful job
saying that if you do this, you have to, like, you could lose your family.
Yeah.
And I recognize that is, that's definitely a tension in this. Is this woman wondering, will I lose all of this? Even though she seems to hate it. But I guess that's another part of Christmas movies is we all say we hate our family, but we really don't.
Well, that's actually one of the things I thought was really extra fascinating about this movie that ties together well in a way that I haven't seen a lot of other movies do. I mean, it comes together pretty fast at the end, but like in terms of a reconciliation, but like it just needed like a couple more beats, I think, to establish it really well, but to show the competition that has like happened between the sisters and how the parents have made that happen, like by sort of focusing on this career, right? And like focusing on this idea of perfection, and how that has made these two sisters super competitive, and the other sister is just like, they gave up on her after she wouldn't stop biting, and like when she was 3 years old. I laughed so hard at that line.
Well, also sticking her down in the basement was pretty darn depressing. So.
Well, and that's the thing, like she's just
in this massive house. How could there not have been another bedroom?
Yeah,
that was because she was always screaming, right?
She was a screamer, and she had night terrors, so they put her in the basement. But like,
as a person who used to have night terrors, I found that very upsetting.
See, like you really do identify with Jane on so many levels. It's so
I do. No, if someone had shoved me in a basement, I mean.
But when they have the confrontation at the end, and they make it that like, okay, so this is also when Mary Steenburgen has to make her speech to Victor Garber, and she's like, we have one child who has been secretly separated for months and was afraid we wouldn't love her if she told us. We have another child who has never been able to be happy in this world because she's afraid we won't love her. Like, we have done something wrong. And it's such a powerful moment that I think like we don't see that kind of, like, maybe some people think it's too overt, but I thought it was actually like a really wonderful thing to see how sort of like, the kind of like the complicity that some parents can have in this sort of like the corruption of like a hierarchical structure in a family, and how it can be sort of like so much about bullying and control and all these other things, and to like see these parents address it and then promise to try and be better, and like not to guarantee like this is all going to be perfect, but that everyone's going to try, and like how that's like the ripple effect through the whole family. Like I just thought that's something we don't get in a lot of Christmas movies.
I think also maybe like Victor Garber and Mary Steenburgen are so lovely. I had a hard time believing that they were tyrants. Like I think they could have picked some parents that were like quite awful. I don't know if it's just because I know Mary Steenburgen. When have you ever seen
her? She's so mean.
When?
She's so mean but in this specific movie she is.
Yeah, she is.
She's a meanie. She's a cold. She's a cold person. She's a kind of cruel.
I think she plays the role really well.
Maybe maybe that's where Harper learned her icy cruelty from.
Well, and especially if you've got like a family that's all about political machinations and like how they have to sort of like front for it seems like Republicans. Like it just I mean, you know, what a nightmare. But like
and I mean just like I know families that take their Christmas photos very seriously, and it's like, you know, outfits are produced to match and the family all has to be there and everybody has to pose, and like this is the picture that's gonna get, you know,
this
framed.
is you and Joe and Franklin you're talking about, right?
No, but I know like there are families that are really like that.
Yeah. No, we've seen a million. Like I think we've seen this family in movies too before, right? This sort of uptight conservative.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what this movie actually made me think a lot of was Meet the Parents.
Oh yeah. I can see that.
You know, very and that same sort of family and bringing this new person here and, you know, meeting the old boyfriend, Luke Wilson. And I thought that one did a better job of that feeling that AJ, you were describing of trying to come in, work your way into a new family unit that you don't know very well. Like you don't know their tricks, their shorthand, their nicknames. Like he kept calling her name was Pam. She was Pam Cake. And they had like, I thought that movie did such a good job of that weird feeling when you're trying to like get into that new group of people. So that's what this movie was making me think a lot of.
Yeah. But there's the extra, you know, like the extra layer here, which is that like the family doesn't know they're meeting a significant other,
no.
You know, like
yeah.
and that, so that's like that's, I think the thing that, you know, it's that further complication that sort of separates Abby and isolates her even further. And then she's in these like weird situations where, you know, she's not just like the secret that Harper is keeping. She's also quite obviously like the odd person out of everything. Like she has to get dragged to the mall like she's some like unwanted, you know, sixth cousin or something. She like has to, and then she gets like the kids dumped on her, and then like she's sort of like left out on her own, and she has to go to the bar to like meet up with Harper and her friends, and then I've been the person, not in a relationship, but like where you go and hang out with like someone who you like, you know, you're very close to, and then all of their high school friends.
Yeah.
What a nightmare. Like, honestly, like and so I understand like the sort of leaving early to like go to sleep and like, and let your friend just like have their good time and just be
it's like being invited to someone's office party.
Yes.
For Christmas or something.
Yes.
And everyone's all, can you believe what Ken in accounting did? And you're like, I don't know Ken.
Tell me more about Ken. I love gossip.
Sounds interesting though. Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
But I think they captured like I don't know, Lisa, do you ever go back to White Rock and just like hang out there for a night?
No.
Okay, well, I mean,
you know my thoughts on nostalgia. We've established these. I have none. I am not going back anywhere. I go back nowhere. I talk to no one.
But I don't know. Like
I am now. Sorry. Okay, that's my.
I feel like they captured that really well of like just returning to your small town for the holidays and like seeing people you knew in high school around and like seeing the places where everybody hung out and the bars people used to go to and stuff, and
they
just
had a name
returning
for that.
to that place. Yeah.
Somebody was, because we don't have American Thanksgiving because we're not American, but because it is that awkward day where it's on a Thursday.
Yeah.
I was listening to Keep It with Lewis was saying how there's a name. I think he called it like Black Wednesday or something like that. So you've arrived home and you kind of end up having like, Thanksgiving's not till the next day, but you have to arrive a day early.
Yeah.
And so you end up going, like if you have come home where your parents are, you end up, like you said, going to this high school bar and seeing all of those people because you've got nothing else. Like you are clinging to each other out of sadness and fear. So, I mean, I get that. I have never experienced that though.
Yeah. I mean, the closest I can think is just like, sometimes I would like going to visit my friend in her hometown and getting taken to a like, I don't know, like a informal reunion and you're just like, I am not reunioned. I cannot be reunionized with these people. I know that's not a word, but like I've made it one right
now. You don't need to, because
Yeah.
if you were curious, you could go on Facebook and find them and 9,000 pictures of them.
But
and
at the same
probably,
time, when you're stuck in that situation where you're at somebody else's house and there's nothing to do and no one to talk to, and like it's just that feeling like I may as well be out here because what else is there?
No, this is what you do. This is my next pitch for a movie. What you do is you think about that person in high school that no one liked, but secretly you knew was cool, but you didn't hang out with, and you go look them up.
I mean, that sounds fun.
Huh?
That sounds fun.
I made you both pause there, and that was interesting. You guys were both, wait a minute. I mean, odds are that person left and is like, good riddance to this crap town and my family. But what if they had to, what if they did
There goes your movie.
Yeah.
You just did have to come back.
Yeah.
If they did have to.
So Kristen Stewart, like, her every outfit in this film is
perfect,
flawless.
Okay, so,
her hair is flawless. Her face is the whole thing.
You know what blew my mind? I was watching this movie and I was like, why does she seem like the shortest person here in this cast? And I looked it up, and she's 5'4".
Yeah, I thought she was
very tall.
I always thought she was very tall because she looks.
I always thought she was small.
Because she looks so great. Well, she just looks so good in clothes. Like, I assumed she was very tall.
She has a mystique and a style about her that.
Yeah, like just because she's always so fashion, I assumed she was like 5'10" or something.
And that's the part of me that was going like, get out of there. Like, come on, you've got like the whole shebang. You are the package. You are it. You're smart. You're studying art history at Cornell University or whatever where your parents went.
I mean, she's at Carnegie Mellon. Yeah.
Carnegie Mellon, whatever. Yeah. Cornell's the doctor place, right? That Aubrey Plaza was going to, wasn't it?
I can't remember where. She was at Johns Hopkins.
Honestly, can you imagine an art historian and a doctor? That's in my head now. That's the couple.
Okay, well, so yeah, like I would like to. I mean, I think that they easily could definitely, have hooked up and what. But I felt like it was just Abby was just obviously deeply invested in Harper. And I mean, it's for reasons, honestly, that we can't really
No, because you're right. The movie didn't give us that. They gave us that one quick scene, and we had to assume that this relationship was so fantastic that she was going to propose to her. So obviously she's very much in love. Yeah,
like they had only moved in 6 months, like 6 months earlier or whatever. And like, we find out sort of like about their... And she apparently doesn't really like Christmas, but we find out it's mostly because she's like, an orphan and stuff. That was okay. Sorry, I just want to talk about.
I can't believe you say orphan and then you laugh. Like that is you. Look at you.
Well,
orphan laugh.
That was the joke. It was a joke.
It was just such a ridiculous joke, and like the way they keep sort of saying it, and like that this is a family that obviously already like their privilege is out the wazoo, but like this is a family where nothing bad has ever happened, because you wouldn't be able to sort of keep clinging to this idea of perfection if you had ever had any kind of personal experience with tragedy. Like it's like you
fair enough.
Are like the thin veneer that you are holding on to is that like somehow you are outside of normal stuff, like someone's parents dying. And so just this idea that like one by one, this family is just going to like sort of like identify her as the only thing that they've decided is interesting about her, orphan. Like, this is her one thing that she gets introduced to this family as, and like that's all.
And the funny thing is they're not even warm about that. They're not even like
it's a
Mikasa
clinical
Sukasa or something. It's like none of that.
Yeah, but I also think it's just like it struck me as the thing that because like being Asian and going over to my friend's house and meeting their parents when I was younger is just kind of like it's the kind of thing that families do when they don't care to know anything more about you.
Yes.
They have this like one detail about you, and that's that's what you are in their mind, and they are not interested in anything else. And that's the one they have one thing they can talk to you about if they have to, and then that's it. Like, they don't need to know anything
you're
else.
Asian. How's that going?
For a while when I was younger, some people's parents would be like, so you live with your dad? And I was just like, yep. And my grandma. Oh, a grandma too. That was it. That was like the end. They couldn't say the one thing they wanted to say, which was, you're a fat child. Because like I know that was what they wanted to sort of talk about, but they wanted to mostly find out how I became so unparented that like.
Were you a wild kid or something? Were they trying to source your craziness or?
One person's parents did think that I was like a bad influence, but that's because I rode public transit. So she was just like, like her
coming from the suburbs, I can tell you that is a red flag.
It was so wild because like her mom was like, she pretended to be cool, but then she found out that I gallivanted all the way to New Westminster on public transit with her daughter when we were only in grade 9, and she literally used the word gallivant to sort of like try and shame me, and it was so funny. She ended up really loving me later on, but anyway, it was very funny. And I guess like sometimes I would be a bad influence because I really liked to talk to adults, and I liked to engage with them and sort of like just slightly challenge their beliefs. That's always been just like I was a fun kid. To invite into your family home and then just have me be like, so Bill, why do you think that it's okay to, or whatever, like whatever it was. I was a monster. Okay.
That was always my experience with
we always
sleepovers.
get to this point in the podcast.
Whenever I'd have sleepovers at my friends, like I just can't sleep in. Even now, I've never in my whole life, like if I'm up like past 7, I'm like, well, a day's shot, right? That's done. So I always woke up early and my friends would always sleep, right? So whenever they'd get up, basically there would be like, me and the Shermans having breakfast, and
you've got a section of the newspaper.
I've got a section and, my friend would get up and I'd be like, morning, sleepyhead. Joyce, is there any more pancakes or have we knocked them off? We did, hey? Well, too bad for you, I always got to know the parents because of the morning. There's only so long you can just lay on the floor in a sleeping bag on someone's bedroom where you finally just have to go, like, I can smell coffee. I can smell something's going on in there. I know there's a paper. I'm getting out there. I'm going. I'm sitting with the Shermans.
I mean, I can't even and Abby tries so hard throughout this movie to find these small points of connection, and it's like and just like she just wants to be liked so badly, and I think Kristen Stewart does such a good job conveying that. Like
maybe that's why it's so painful, and then you're just thinking, God, you don't have to experience this.
Yeah, like you can want more for yourself.
Yes. And this is not going to get better. Like, what's next Christmas going to be like? I don't know. Now instead of the orphan, you're the lesbian, or I don't know. Maybe you're the wife.
I think it's better. Like she was in the picture at the end.
Yeah, was she? I mean,
she was front and center in the photo. No, they are going to change.
There's being in the photo, and then there's in the photo.
I feel though like she has Dan Levy in her life to.
Yes, she does.
To look out for her, so
and those
I'm not
bits
worried
were
about
funny.
it.
Him killing the fish and tracking people. I thought that was very amusing. I enjoyed that.
I also just love the fact that he shows up and he's like, "You don't have to deal with this," and like he gives her. Yeah. He does give her a lot of outs, but he also is not like I thought. Like we talk a lot about, or I don't know. Some of my circles talk a lot about this year, with like radical compassion and stuff, and I think that he does such a good job because he's like, you are not going to be treated badly by Harper, but also you don't get to, like, you can be mad about how maybe she's not in the right place for you right now. Like the way that he maneuvers that conversation where he's like, you can't tell her how to have her story, with her coming out to her parents, but you can say, it's not what I need right now, And I thought that was like that's such a powerful thing to be shown in a rom-com, because so often it comes down to like, well, you have to be mad at this person, or you have to be like angry at them, or you have to be like hating them, or you have to be so whatever, on and on and on. And this movie actually shows us like you can actually just decide that like you deserve more and you need more, and like you need someone to meet you where you're at. You're not prepared to wait around to meet someone where they're at. And that's not like something that you have to do right now. And I just like thought, oh, wow,
I'm doing a slow clap right now.
But like that's just such a radical message for like
very
a
well written
Christmas
scene.
Yeah,
and very,
it's such a well written scene.
And very sympathetic and understanding. And I know that probably radical compassion's not one of my strong suits. And I would agree with that.
Well, I just I'm still wrapping my brain around a lot of it too, but like I think about it all the time.
I prefer to flee and make a scene and then apologize later. That's much more my kind of style.
You're like $1,000 taxi ride? Sure, no problem.
Yeah, no problem.
Can we talk about Clea Duvall for a second?
Yes, I love Clea Duvall.
I didn't realize that she directed this film until I saw the credits. The opening credits. Yeah, wrote and directed it.
Yeah.
But I'm such a huge fan of her acting in her films. Like
I loved her in Veep too. I don't know if you guys watched Veep, but she was so good.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes of that. But I'm a big fan of Carnival. She is so great in that. You have to watch that. I'm
very excited that she made the movie. I'm glad the movie got made, and I do think that probably that first person who has to make that movie is kind of thankless in a way. You know, like you have to. You want to make the movie you want to tell the story you do, and then there's going to be people go, well, it's not exactly what I was hoping for, which, you know, isn't the point, right? Because as you said, like there's a million other kinds of movies, and this one's just going to have to, like, other people will make them, and this will be one that will represent one coming out story, and then another one will represent another, and hopefully we don't just say, well, you know, Hollywood studios don't go, oh, we made one last year.
Yeah.
You know, we're done. You don't have to worry about this anymore. It's where we told that story.
Exactly. And I mean, Clea Duvall, like I remember, she's actually in one of my favorite early episodes of Buffy, where she becomes the invisible girl, and she's murderous at first because, you know, she has faded. She literally becomes invisible because everyone at school ignores her so much, and everyone at home ignores her so much that she is eventually rendered entirely invisible. And so she's obviously like deeply upset about this because, you know, who wants to have that be your life? And she just does such, so honestly, it's practically just her voice for quite a lot of the episode, because she is rendered invisible relatively quickly. But she does such a great job even in that moment. And then just like to follow her career. Like I haven't actually watched Carnival, and I'm very excited to at some point, because I know that it will.
It is so up your alley.
I know. Yeah, I'm going to watch it. But like I can't wait. But anyway, but I know she's been in so many other things, and I just like she's always flawless.
She was great in Girl Interrupted, and
yeah,
I remember that. Yeah,
and then but I'm a Cheerleader.
So I have not seen But I'm a Cheerleader, and I've had it on our list of things that we should do for a long time. And I think that we were going to talk, because it was actually the 20th anniversary this year, but we've kind of run out of year. But, you know, we love odd anniversaries, so not a big deal.
Yeah.
But you know, our wonderful friends Chloe and Sarah of the Warrior Bards and Brews podcast, who've been on the show before, I know that they are big fans of But I'm a Cheerleader, and I think that they would love to talk about that with us at some point.
Done.
So, I don't know. For me, Happiest season pops.
For sure it does. I love it.
I'll give it a pop. I will. I'll give it a pop. Because I agree. I 100% agree. I was a bit turned around by the conversation that this is a very classic Christmas movie. It has all of those ingredients that a Christmas movie should have. And they're all there. I just wanted more for Abby. That's all.
That's understandable.
As soon as it ended, I was like, I'm gonna watch this every year. This is on my hit list.
Ah, there we go.
I love how much you love it. This makes me really
yeah, that's
happy.
Great. Yes.
I also love the low key shade at me you're like, I don't like to be pandered to, so I don't need background music.
Yeah, I know. I love that too. Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, not
right.
a festive holiday movie. Let's skip all the Christmas tunes.
We also love to leave our episodes with something we recommend. AG, would you like to go first?
Sure. I've started listening to this podcast called Dead Eyes. Have either of you listened to it?
Mm-mm.
It's this comedian named Connor Radcliffe, who I guess he was fired from he had a small role on Band of Brothers in 2001, and Tom
Wow,
Hanks,
that's a long time ago.
and Tom Hanks personally fired him.
I heard of that. I heard that story.
And said it
yes.
was because he had dead eyes. And he hasn't been able to stop thinking about that for 20 years. And so he decided to do this podcast where he talks to everybody who could, he just like, it's like he goes on this investigation about this mystery that doesn't really matter. But like he just talks to everybody involved. He talks to tries to talk to casting agents.
Ooh, that sounds
He talks
painful.
to John Hamm is on the first episode of the podcast because like they act together, and he tries to talk it out with John Hamm. Like, did you think I had dead eyes when you worked with me? Like, do you know what that means? Have you ever heard about that? Anyone saying that before? And so it's just really funny, like deep dig into why Tom Hanks fired him off this TV series.
Amazing.
Yeah. I will definitely check that out. That sounds good.
It's very funny.
Lisa, what about you?
Yeah, so I am halfway through the Nicole Kidman, Hugh Grant, The Undoing miniseries. That's I'm watching it on Crave, so it's like a murder mystery. I don't want to say anything because it's progresses and you learn things, so that's how you want to watch it, right? But
yes.
Much has been made of Nicole Kidman's coat.
I've been watching that too. Yeah, I know I don't like her coats.
I'm not a fan. It kind of looks like she's Little Red Riding Hood, sort of, but whatever. Everyone's excited. I'm enjoying the show. It's really slick. Mm-hmm. It's really, it has that kind of, it's funny because that Big Little Lies feel to it as well.
Yes. But
upper class people in their murderous, weird shit.
Yeah, right? It's Big Little Lies, but East Coast.
East Coast, yeah. So because I love the idea that if, let's just say things get real and your husband's accused of murder and he was supposed to be out of town, but where no one can find him. I would love if my father said, maybe you should just go to the beach house. And I just, that even that was something that existed. And by the beach house, I mean basically like a mansion on a beach. But anyway, it is that upper class world. It's a lot of Nicole Kidman running around looking beautiful and worried and angry. And, that works for me.
Great. Sounds, I have not watched it yet.
I see where your Hugh Grant comment from earlier
is
coming from.
I'm going to go with music. And this is one of my favorite, I think, under heralded songs of 2020, but also the whole EP. Her name is Lou Kala, Lukala, and she is Congo-born, Toronto-based, pop R&B star, and I think she's going to be huge. She's incredible, wonderful, sound, a very unique sound. Her voice has this I described it as a sweet but slightly abrasive, like a sugar scrub. I just think it's extraordinary, and I think she also is a fat woman and is very body positive, very fat acceptance. A lot of her songs sort of are all about her and desire and sort of the tension that exists in this idea that fat bodies shouldn't be sexual bodies, and then her additional sort of other intersections of her identity that fat Black women shouldn't have their own agency and desire. So she's singing from these really unique and important perspectives, And the EP is called Worthy. And the song that I love so much, I mean, I love the whole EP, but the song that I think is like, sort of hidden gem is called Body New. And it's a breakup anthem for the ages.
Eek. Wow. Okay. Lots to chew on here. Hey, lots
that sounds
of
great.
sadness. We got murder. We got rejection. We got breakups.
Yeah, I love it. It's our
Happy
favorite
holidays,
combo.
everyone. Here you go.
Yeah. The trifecta
There you go.
of the season.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. You can hang out with us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. You could email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com. And you could rate and review us 5 stars.
5 stars. And Andrea Gin is our producer and our co-host. And, get ready. Be ready, because the Holiday and Love Actually are coming up. So you can watch both of them again.
The first time that AG gets to weigh in.
I've avoided it for so long, and now I have to.
No, you're one of us now. One of us. One of us.
I love it.
I'm gonna be so angry next week.
Oh,
Great.
you are. Yeah,
That's
you
perfect.
are.
That's what we want.
That's all we want. Okay.
Well, thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.